Okay, Siyata Dishmaya Perik Yoteth. So we've been discussing up until now the natural dormant, this ava, that every yid has, as we mentioned until now, as a Yerusha. It's an inheritance that he gets from the avos. And this is not necessarily the ava, the love that he himself has worked on, but it's more like a natural love. It's a love that every yid possesses. And it's an important idea of how to bring about this love and how to practically wake it up. That's a lot about Perik Yutes, okay? That's just a little bit of Agdama to start this Perik. Let's go. Let's more explanation. What is this Lashon of the Pasuk in Mishlei? Ner Hashem Nishmas Odom. That's a famous idea that the ner, the candle, the flame represents on a shom of a person. Okay? And the comparison obviously has to be that just like a ner, a candle, gives a person the ability to see in the dark, okay, so too, through the neshama, the Rabbeinu Shalom is able to see all of our machshavas and all of our heart's desires in that case. But it goes much deeper. Perish. Shisol akrim Odom. Klal Yisrael are called specifically Odom. Right, the Gemara says, "Atem krum Odom ve'eino ovdei kechavim krum Odom." Right, we are called the Odom. Zuk the Tanya nishmosam hi lemoshel ka'or haneh. The neshama of a yid is like the flame of a candle. Shemisnanei tomid lema'ala b'tivai. It's a gewaltige Sache. You have a look at a candle. It's never stationary. It's not still. Every candle is flickering. It's moving. It's jumping up and down. And if you look at it, as he says, and the observation of the Heilige Balatanya is shemisnanei tomid lema'ala. It's always jumping up, always trying to go up, up, up. Right, more of a candle, but you can see it on there also. On a candle that's got a wick with the wax or with the oil, you can always constantly see it striving for greatness, right? Which on a poshet level means that our neshama, which is represented as a candle, was always trying to strive for greatness. Let's understand a very, very deep level of that idea. Mipnei. Sha'or ha'esh, chofetz beteva lipored ma'psila, v'ledovek b'shorsha lemala b'soy de'esh ha'kloli shetachas galgal ha'yoreach. That means the fire is always trying to go back to its original source. It's trying to go back to its core, which is way above us, which makes Lamaisa, very interestingly enough, Eish very different to every other created item. Because every other created item, of course, comes from a higher source. Everything that's created in the world comes from a higher source, comes from the Machshavas and the Rabbeinu Shalom. We spoke about that previously. But once it's created, it kind of is happy to settle here, to stay here, to be stationary in this world. A flame is one of the only things, when created, and is in the physical sense down in this world, is not happy where it is, and kind of wants to go back up to its original source in that case. Now it actually says, where's it going? It's going under the moon. That seems to be the source, in the physical source for the flame of every physical flame in this world. Now, of course, when we talk about that, all scientific ideas, it's all very nice, but it's all irrelevant because the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to see the Maisa the way it is right now. That's what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to see. It's like, for example, a person saying that the sun sets and the sun rises. Why? Oh, that's because the earth is revolving. So therefore, the sun rises and the sun sets. Now that's true, but it's kind of irrelevant because the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted us to see the Metzias in the way we see it. I once heard a mashal like this, for example, a person is watching a movie and he sees a movie set and he's all excited and he's enthralled by this movie. And someone says to him, Rabbi, you're looking at it all wrong. It's a set. It's a piece of cardboard that they, colored in and they turned it into a movie set. And the guy will say to you, I don't care. To me, it seems real. To me, it seems like it's in front of me and it looks like it's Lamaisa. So in Achanami, it's true that there's a lot of scientific explanations to a lot of things, but we don't need to know that. We need to know what the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted us to see. So Kaponim, the age that we see, is constantly trying to go back to its original source, which is Tachas Galgal Ereach, K'may Shekosa Ba'etz Chaim, which is brought down Sifik Kabbalah, but 1 second, if it would successfully detach from its source, from the candle, from the wick that it's attached to, what's going to happen? It's going to be extinguished. It's going to go out. It's not going to provide light anymore. It's not actually going to illuminate anything down over here. even though that's going to be the Metzias and that's what's going to happen, Bekach hu chofetz b'tivoi. The nature of a flame, of a fire, is that's exactly what it wants to do. Kach, so too, nishmas ha'odom, the neshama of a yid, v'chein b'chines ruach nefesh chafetza v'chasheka b'tivoi lipored v'lotzeis min haguf. The natural b'china is that it wants to jump out, it wants to separate, it wants to get out of that guf. V'lidovik b'shorsha, and cling to its shorish, to its original source. U'mekoyra b'Hashem chaya chayim baruch hu hagam shetiyeh ayin be'efes v'yispatlu shom b'metzios. In a mice, if it would do that, it would lose its identity, legamri and ganzen, v'lo yisham emenu mu'uma ma'amusav atzmusa vision, and there will be nothing left of its original character. Aval pikein zevetzoyne v'chetzo b'tivoi. This is lemaisa, the chayvet. This is what it wants. This is its natural form. It wants to jump out of the body, it wants to jump out of its source and go back to its original source where it's meant to be, even though through that will lose its own identity. Stop here for a minute, Rabbi Isai, just to give the Olam an understanding that in many Sifrei Chasidus, specifically Chabad and many others, that talks about this inyan of ispatlus, being bottled to the Rabbeinu Shalom. The Sifrei Chasidus are full of this idea of being bottled to the Rabbeinu Shalom, which, by the way, was the makor for many of the machlokes between the Misnagdim and the Chasidim. Because what happened is that the Chassidim was saying to the Misnagdim Lamaisa is that, you got to mevatel yourself to Rabbeinu Shalom. You have gaiva. Oh, you hold yourself to be a personality. You hold yourself to be someone, epis. Whereas the Misnagdim was saying to Chassidim, what do you mean? You mevatel yourself. You got to bring something from your life. You got to do something. And this is the makar for a lot of what went on. But this is really what the Baal HaTanya is being meramis to over here. Is this batlus to Hashem? Let's go weiter. The teva zehu shema mushal. This teva, this nature, so to speak, as we translate it as, is not actually a literal translation. Okay, rakana kavona sherotzoin v'chayfet zeh b'nefesh ein b'chinas tam v'das v'seichel musar gomuvan. In other words, this love that we talk about, that so to speak settled all the way in, all the way deep in, this is what we call the dormant love, which is not this fiery, flaming love that we talk about at the end of the day, is specifically, which lies over there, and at the end of the day, naturally craves and wants the Rabbeinu Shalom. We've spoken about this before. It's above das and seichel, something which is purely understood. Or in that case, that at the end of the day, that chokhmah, as we've explained in different ways, is almost like a window. And the chokhmah allows the neshama to come into, there's the light, Hashem's light to come into the neshama, but a person has to make himself a psekli, to make himself a utensil to accept that light for the neshama to come in. Let's just do one more paragraph. This lemais is the klal for anything of kedusha she'ena ela masha nimshach ma'chochma. It's a continuation, schlepped, so to speak, from chochma. Shenikos kodesh elyon habotl b'metzias ba'ar ein soy baruch hu. It's bottled in its own metzias, in the light, in the illumination of ein soy baruch hu. Hamalubash boy. Ve'eno dover b'vnei asma canal, as we explained previously, it doesn't have its own metzias, its own identity, because it's become bottled in the or ein soy. V'lachein nikra. That's why it's called koyach ma. Again, lashon of chochma, which we translate as wisdom, is koyach ma. That means when a person is able to empty, right, the ego of the self, he's able also to ask. And ask why, what, where, when. That's chochma. That's what koyach ma. What is this strength? Vu hepach mamish is the opposite. Mibchinas haklipa v'sichach. It's completely the opposite from the bad side. Shemimena nafshois uma sa'olam v'da'oven n'garmayu. If you remember, by the way, all the way back, Perek Aleph, the end of Perek Aleph, the Heilige Baal HaTanya tells us that a goy doesn't have the same neshama as us, and he doesn't have from Klipas Noiga, because we have from Klipas Noiga. That's our Nefesh HaBahamas comes on Klipas Noiga. Klipas Noiga, as we know, has a good side and a bad side. We have to learn how to utilize it for the good side. A goy, the Baal HaTanya tells us, the end of Perek Aleph, does not have coming from the Klipas Noiga. He has from the bad ones that have no good whatsoever, and any good that you see that a goy does, the Baal HaTanya told us clearly, the end of Perek Aleph, he does for himself. And that's what he's saying over here as well. He's saying this is mamish faket to what the klip of the Sichachah Shimimena Nafshos Umas Ha'olam, that where the nefashos of the Umas Ha'olam, the goyim, comes from, the Ovdun Gamayu, whatever they do is for themselves, they're very self-serving. But Omun, have, give. But Haliteni, where do we all recognize that from? No, Rabbi Sai, we're like from very good, Chaim. From Esav, the Olim said it together. We're from Esav, give me some of that red stuff. That's what a goy is. The Neshamas give, everything's mine. It's almost opposite to the Bechina of Chachma. V'lachein Nikra Mason. That's why that clip is called dead. Because Chachma Lemaisa lives a person, energizes a person. So at the end of the day, just like if it would detach, which is what its Ratzon really is, from the Gov, it would die, it would lose its identity over here, right? Because at the end of the day, the klipa is, after all, a detachment from Hashem. It's all about the ego, which is opposite of Chochmah, which at the end of the day, that's why it's referred to as mace. Because mace means it's dead, there's no life to it, there's nothing there whatsoever. Chochmah gives a person life, gives an opportunity to ask. You have to open up the window, you have to make yourself a base kibble, you have to allow it to happen. Mitzvah tomorrow we'll continue with the opposite side about Rishayim and Poshe Yisrael B'siyata D'Shmaya.